Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thursday 13 episode of Before Coffee. We're going to cover 13 things and as well as cover the general news that's going on, which of course, as always, there's news going on everywhere. So let's welcome to Before Coffee, the father and daughter news show where we look at the news 10 minutes before we start and we just roll with it, whatever we find. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and let's get into our headlines. Today on Before Coffee, EU's von der Leyen vows to fight for democratic, strong Europe in a bid for a second term.
We have hotel victims dying in a hotel in Bangkok, and tons of dead fish in Brazil.
Foreign Secretary David Lammy defends calling Trump a Neo-Nazi Sociopath.
And we, in our Thursday 13, we have what are the biggest things in the solar system? We'll list them.
In culture news, Adele drops bombshell as she confirms she's taking a big break from music.
Those stories and more, which is National Sour Candy Day, July 18th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Okay, let's start with our first news story, which actually I'm going to do the one about calling Trump a sociopath, neo-Nazi sociopath, because that one's a shorter article, I believe. Yeah, okay. So, what happened? This is from David Maddox on The Independent. David Lammy pointed out that even Trump's current running mate, J.D. Vance, once called him America's Hitler. The new Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, clashed with BBC breakfast host Naga Munchetty as he tried to avoid directly answering questions about his past comments on former President Donald Trump. Miss Munchetty, Convicted Felon Donald Trump is what we call him here on Before Coffee, pointed out that Mr. Lammy had described Convicted Felon Trump as a neo-Nazi sympathizing sociopath and a tyrant in a toupee, among other brutal attacks on Twitter when he was president. But Mr. Lammy, who started reaching out to Republicans and right-wing think tanks in America once he became shadow foreign secretary before Labor won the election, insisted that he had not been alone in making comments about the current Republican convict. He said, "You are going to struggle to find any politician who has not had things to say about Donald Trump in his first term, particularly on Twitter. You'd have struggled with our last Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, who described him as a xenophobe and a misogynist." As Ms. Munchetty tried to interrupt, he added, "You will struggle with Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance. He has selected has also had things to say." Vance had called Convicted Felon Trump America's Hitler before having profound change of heart and later stating he had been wrong. Coward. Lammy went on, "The truth is that with our special relationship, it is special. We will work with whomever the American people choose to be in the White House over generations now, whatever the color of the political party. Even if they're fascists and Nazis and they decide to kill everyone. Oh, well, we have a special relationship, so we can't say no." But Miss Munchetty hit back. "You haven't actually answered the question." Lammy responded, "I have answered the question. You just didn't like the answer." The BBC presenter pointed out that Vance had said he was wrong, and she pressed Mr. Lammy to say if he thought he had been wrong with his comments too. But the Foreign Secretary refused to say he had. He said, "Donald Trump had the thickest of skins. There is this rhetoric, but look at the action. He was the first to give javelins to Ukraine after 2015. He talked about withdrawing from NATO. He actually increased troops to NATO. If the American people choose Donald Trump, we will work with him as closely where we can. We will seek to influence him where we disagree. As I have said, Donald Trump is the biggest of political characters we have on the planet at this point. Lots of people have had things to say. There's a lot of common cause with whoever Americans select to be in the White House." Mr. Lammy also addressed comments made by Vance in jest in a recent speech that the UK is an Islamist country. But the Foreign Secretary defended the Vice President's nominee, who he said he shares a lot in common with. Okay, he told the BBC, "On J.D. Vance, I have met him. We have similar working class backgrounds with addiction issues in our families. We have written books on that. We have talked about that, and we are both Christians. So I think we can find common ground with J.D. Vance. Still can't believe people care about what religion you have when you become a government official. The Foreign Secretary also avoided getting involved in the debate over the U.S. President Joe Biden's health and increasing pressure for him not to be a Democrat nominee in the election in November. I was with Biden last week. He led NATO, ensuring we have $40 billion aid package for Ukraine. I found the robust on the issue. There's a keyword for you. Biden was robust. They are a great democracy. There will be a lot of debate and heat between now and November. This is a matter for the American people. So I think we can honestly agree that Lammy's not going to take his comments back, and he does still believe Trump is a sociopath, which is why he didn't outwardly say that he was wrong, because he still believes it, but he doesn't want to be caught saying, yes, I still think he's a sociopath. Quote me on that, because you got to keep yourself neutral when you're dealing with a questionable election that's coming up in November, which honestly shouldn't be a question. It's pretty obvious who should win. But everyone else, it's a fucking question, huge question mark in the air. Who knows what's gonna happen? It's a mystery. But there's your news coming out of the UK and the drama with convicted felon Trump. On to yours.
Okay, I have nothing but bad news. So, there we go. I'm just baffled at these foreign leaders just taking their cues from the American press and nobody else. There's no polls showing Trump surging. Now, I don't believe in polls, but even if you do believe in polls, there's no polls showing him surging, even after the assassination, even after all of this media hype about, we all know Joe Biden's old, but they won't let it go. The polling really hasn't changed. So I don't know where they're getting this. Oh, we must shift to Trump because, he's a uniting figure, which is absurd. He doesn't even unite his own family.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. This is from the BBC. Grand Hyatt Bangkok. Victims died from cyanide poisoning. This is from Daniaret Duxone and Kelly Ning. How do you pronounce NG? Is it Ning? Gin? NG. How do you pronounce that? Nobody's ever told me. Do you know? Pronunciation. Anyway, those are the authors. This is from BBC.com. Police say they found traces of cyanide on all 6 teacups. Cyanide has been found in the blood of all 6 people who died in a luxury hotel suite in Bangkok, say doctors have to examine their bodies. Based on the initial post-mortem examination, they say there's no other cause that would explain their deaths except cyanide. But further tests are being carried out to determine the intensity of the deadly chemical and rule out any other toxins. Forensic investigators had earlier found traces of cyanide in the teacups used by victims, all of whom are of Vietnamese origin, including 2 with dual U.S. citizenship. Police suspect that one of the dead was behind the poisoning was driven by crushing debt, but have not said who. The victims' lips and nails had turned dark purple, indicating a lack of oxygen, while their internal organs turned blood red, which is another sign of cyanide poisoning, said Professor Kornkiat Bongparisarshnin of the Department of Forensic Medicine at Chulalongkorn University. Dr. Chanchai Siddhapunt, the dean of the Faculty of Medicine, said they still need to find how much cyanide was in the blood of the deceased, but from what we've detected from observation, from internal organ check, from finding cyanide in the blood during the screening test, there was no other cause that would be the factor that would cause their deaths, except cyanide. The deceased were found by housekeepers in the Grand Hyatt Erewhon Hotel in the Thai capital on late Thursday. Investigators believe they had been dead for between 12 and 24 hours by then. The mystery around the shocking discovery made international headlines. Well, this is international headlines, isn't it? The Thailand's Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin ordered an urgent investigation into the case, stressing that deaths were the result of private matter and there was no suggestion of public danger. Police have since begun to piece together what might have happened. 2 of the 6 victims had loaned tens of $millions of Thai baht to another of the deceased for investment purposes, authorities said. 10 million baht is worth $280,000. Early on Wednesday, Deputy Bangkok Police Chief Jin Napasin Punsawat told the press conference the group checked into the hotel separately over the weekend. They were assigned 5 rooms, 4 on the 7th floor and 1 on the 5th. They have been scheduled to check out Monday, but failed to do so. 4 of the 5 victims are Vietnamese nationals. Thai Nguyen Phong, 46, her husband Hong Pham Tan, 49. Thi Nguyen Phong Lan, 47. Din Tran Phu, 37. The 2 other American citizens are Shireen Chong, 56, and Deng Hong Van, 55. So they all know each other. They're all involved in some kind of financial transaction. So it looks like a legitimate suicide. The U.S. State Department has offered its condolences, said it is closely monitoring the situation. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation is assisting Thai authorities in the investigation, Mr. Sreda said. What do police suspect happened? The motive is not clear, but police said 2 of the 6 had loaned a substantial amount of money to another person in a group had not been paid back. Police say on Monday afternoon, all 6 victims gathered in a room on the 5th floor. The group ordered food and tea, which was delivered to the room around 1400 local time and received by Ms. Chong, who was the only person in the room at the time. According to the deputy police chief, the waiter offered to make tea for the guests, but Ms. Chong refused this. The waiter recalled that she spoke very little and was visibly under stress, authorities said. The waiter later left the room. The rest of the group then began streaming into the room at various points between 1403 and 1417. No one else is believed to have entered the room apart from the 6 inside, and the police have said the door to the room was locked from within. Sounds like an Agatha Christie mystery. The screen displays the police crime scene diagram, and police say there were no signs of a struggle, robbery, or forced entry. They later found traces of cyanide in all 6 teacups. Pictures released from the police show plates of untouched food left on a table in the room, some of them still covered in cling wrap. There's a 7th name in the group's hotel booking, whom police identify as the younger sister of one of the victims. She had left Thailand last week for the Vietnamese coastal city of Da Nang and is not involved in the incident, police said. Relatives interviewed by the police said Thai Nguyen Phong and Hong Pham Tan, a couple, owned a road construction business, had given money to Ms. Chong to invest in hospital building project in Japan. Police suspect that Mr. Tran, a makeup artist based in Da Nang, had also been duped into making an investment. Mr. Tran's mother, Toi, told BBC Vietnamese that he had traveled to Thailand on Friday and had called home on Sunday to say he had extended his stay until Monday. That was the last his family had heard from him. She rang him again on Monday, but he did not answer the call. Ms. Chong had hired Mr. Tran as her personal makeup artist for the trip, one of the students told the BBC Vietnamese. Mr. Tran's father, Phu, told that Vietnamese media that his son was hired last week by a Vietnamese woman to travel to Thailand. The 6 bodies were discovered one day after Thailand expanded its visa-free entry scheme to travelers from 93 countries and territories to revitalize its tourism industry. Cyanide is a rapidly acting high toxic chemical that is potentially deadly. Low levels of cyanide occur in nature and in products we eat and use, but in larger doses it is a notorious poison and has been used as a chemical warfare agent because of its fast acting and highly lethal properties. It can occur as a colorless gas or a liquid in crystal form. People can be exposed to cyanide by breathing it in, absorbing it through their skin, or eating food or liquids that contain it. When consumed in large amounts, cyanide can lead to lung injury, coma, death within seconds. Even in smaller doses, cyanide can still be harmful, causing chest pain, nausea, shortness of breath, and vomiting. So stay away from the cyanide. That was a really long story. I didn't think it was that long.
I mean, just in case you didn't know, the most famous probably poison in the world, cyanide.
Yeah. Possibly. It's what they're drinking at Jonestown. It was in the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll get on to the fish kill story. That's only a 2-minute story. Tons of dead fish fill river in Brazil after waste dumping allegations. It will take years for the environment to cover, said, and this is from the Associated Press. It will take years for the environment to cover, said Adriano Queiroz, director of licensing at Sao Paulo's environmental agency, in a video call. Due to the number of fish killed and a variety of species affected, the impact of biodiversity is significant, he added. The Piracicaba River crosses a protected area named Tanqua that has been dubbed Sao Paulo's mini Pantanal after the tropical wetlands famous for abundant wildlife and dazzling natural scenes. Its basin covers 4,838 square miles. On Wednesday, a carpet of floating fish corpses covered the waterway, littering stretches of the river. This is sad environmental disaster has moved everyone because of the seriousness and extent of the impacts, prosecutors said, adding that the situation for the fishermen and the local community was also very worrying. Prosecutors have requested a full report into the conditions of water and waiting for further technical information before taking the next steps regarding civil and criminal liability. Police are investigating to determine the environmental crime was committed. Sao Paulo's Secretary for Public Security said in a statement, the company risks a hefty fine. Sao Paulo's state environmental agency, known in Portuguese as CETESB, first received reports of the mass die-off and strong odor emanating from the river on July 7. That same day, the agency asked Salto Grande hydroelectric power plant to increase the amount of water released to dilute the pollution. By July 9th, data showed an increase in the amount of dissolved oxygen, favoring conditions for the survival of the fish, CETESB said. But reports emerged of another mass die-off in Tanqua, about 37 miles from the city of Piracicaba, where the news of dead fish first emerged. Piracicaba River runs through one of the oldest regions of occupation of Sao Paulo state and was used as a navigation route for small steamers and supplied water for sugarcane and coffee farms, according to the country's National Statistics Agency. Okay. So there's a story on the fish kill. They're not exactly explaining it, but it's a fact. There's a lot of dead fish. Back to you.
Sad to hear, and hopefully it has nothing to do with cyanide.
Probably does.
What if those stories
guessing
were
there's some
combined?
cyanide in it.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
too poisonous.
Right now, like literally right now, they are voting on who is going to be the next commission president. Now, previously it was Ursula von der Leyen, and she is probably going to be reelected. But let's go into what she's staking on for her next campaign. This is from Jorge Loborriero on Euronews. Europe. Seeking re-election, Ursula von der Leyen has set out her manifesto for the next 5 years before the European Parliament. Defense, competitiveness, and housing were keynotes of Ursula von der Leyen's big pitch for re-election when she set out her manifesto for a further 5 years as European Commission President before MEPs in Strasbourg. The exhaustive speech laying out ideas and projects for a potential second term needs to persuade more than half of the lawmakers to vote for her in this afternoon. Well, right now they're putting the ballots in right now if she wants to secure confirmation of the European Parliament. Thursday's address, which was today, I guess, the 18th of July, earlier in the morning, aimed to hit the right notes and to appeal across the political spectrum, offering a plethora of promises that tie in with the demands expressed by the main parliamentary groups. She spoke at length about boosting competitiveness, cutting red tape, investing in defense, and protecting farmers to please her conservative family. She dived headfirst into the housing crisis, collective bargaining and women's rights, an evident nod for the socialist. She doubled down on the need to respect fundamental rights in exchange for receiving EU funds, a must-have for the liberals. a must-have for the Liberals. She promised to stick to the targets of the European Green Deal, which the Greens want to see honored. The last 5 years have shown what we can do together. Let's do it again. Let us make the choice of strength. Let us make the choice of leadership, she said. The speech combined initiatives that began in her first mandate, such as the signing of a multi-billion deal with neighboring countries to curb irregular migration, and others that had been teased in public interventions, like a European democracy shield to counter foreign information manipulation and interference. But the incumbent also unveiled brand new proposals to dispel doubts that her second mandate would lack the same ambition as her first. Her guidelines, a manifesto document published ahead of her speech this morning, touted a clean industrial deal to mobilize investment into net zero technologies, a commissioner devoted to Mediterranean region, an EU-wide inquiry to examine the impact of social media on the well-being of young people, and radical overhaul of the bloc's common budget with a greater focus on reforms. These ideas, von der Leyen argued, respond to a world of anxiety and uncertainty, where families are squeezed by the cost of living crisis, where polarization divides societies, and where climate change wreaks havoc and depletes natural resources. Europe cannot control dictators and demagogues across the world, but it can choose to protect its own democracy. Europe cannot determine elections across the world, but it can choose to invest in security and defense of its own continent, she told MEPs. Europe cannot stop change, but it can choose to embrace it by investing in a new age of prosperity and improving our quality of life. Thursday's address was heavy on policy, but also on politics. Yeah, today's address is one of the most eye-catching moments. Von der Leyen exhorted Viktor Orban, which I've been doing this for like a half a year, for his controversial peace mission, which earlier this month took him a surprise visit to Moscow to discuss the war in Ukraine with Vladimir Putin, a man wanted for war crimes. This so-called peace mission was nothing but an appeasement mission, von der Leyen declared, prompting loud applause from lawmakers. Only 2 days later, Putin's jets aimed their missiles at children's hospitals and maternity ward in Kyiv. She went on, that strike was not a mistake. It was a message. A chilling message from the Kremlin to all of us. The president then vowed to give Ukraine everything it needs to resist and prevail and show steadfast commitment to Kyiv's ambitions to join the bloc. Von der Leyen also spoke about the Israel-Hamas conflict, I'm not going to call it a war, management of which had garnered her criticism. In her speech, she sought to assuage accusations of pro-Israeli bias and said her executive would put forward a much larger assistance package to support an effective Palestinian Authority. I want to be clear, the bloodshed in Gaza must stop now. Too many children, women, and civilians have lost their lives as a result of Israel's response to Hamas' brutal terror. The people of Gaza cannot bear any more, she said. And there was applause. We need an immediate and enduring ceasefire. We need to release of Israeli hostages. We need to prepare the day after. There's been no shortage of apologies from von der Leyen's speech for almost an hour and touched upon a variety of policy issues that gave a strong hint of what her second mandate, if blessed by the parliament, might contain in years to come. Here's a list of all the initiatives in her mandate. A European democracy shield to counter foreign interference and manipulation, a European housing plan to examine all drivers behind the housing crisis, and commissioner with direct responsibility for housing. That's right, landlords are probably included in the drivers behind housing crises. Wait a minute, all these houses belong to one guy. That could be the cause. An overhaul of the EU budget, better tailored to the needs of each member state, a vice president to coordinate the work on competitiveness and SMEs, a clean industrial deal to mobilize investment and help energy-intensive industries achieve climate neutrality, a European savings and investment union to unlock capital for local startups, a European defense fund to invest in high-end defense capabilities, a European air shield, and new commissioner for defense. A threefold increase for Frontex, the EU's border guard, to reach 30,000 officers. A commissioner for the Mediterranean region, a new agenda to develop comprehensive partnership with neighboring countries, for and EU-wide to probe the impact of social media on the well-being of young people and a roadmap for women's rights. So that's everything von der Leyen is promising in her new, if she gets elected, which might be happening right now. They are actually counting the ballots as of 30 minutes ago. It ended, so they're counting the ballots as of 30 minutes ago, live today. So I'm sure in a few hours, if not a few minutes, we might discover who is the new leader of the European Commission, and that's basically the legislative body of the EU.
Sure, it'll change everything.
But that's it for that. On to yours.
Okay, so it's Thursday, which
Sure
I
is.
typically do a list of some sort. So this one was kind of, I don't have you on camera, but today we're going to talk about, last week we did how many satellites are in the out orbiting Earth. I got a fly buzzing around me. How many satellites are out circling Earth? Today we're going to go farther out in this space. This is the biggest things in the solar system. We're not going to the edge of the universe yet, but we're going to stay in the solar system. What do you guess the biggest thing in the solar system is?
Jupiter.
No, it's the sun. But
I didn't think about
but actually,
the sun at
technically, but the sun is actually the biggest thing we can see in the universe. The biggest thing in the universe is dark matter, right?
all. Yeah,
Upwards
the
of
things we can't
60%.
see, that's true. There's a more
Yeah,
void in
things
between.
we can't see. Well, it's not a void. We just can't see it. It's physically there because it does have a gravitational pull, but we don't know what it is. It's called dark matter. So that's actually the most voluminous thing in the solar system, but we can't see it. So the biggest thing we can see is the sun. That's not exactly news to anyone. Biggest thing in the solar system. Not a second? What do you think?
I'm still
You're
gonna
right.
go for Jupiter.
Yeah, it's Jupiter. Jupiter
What
is
was the
that big
asteroid
old...
belt? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Nope. No, the asteroid belt is a
Jupiter.
whole bunch of different things.
The biggest.
The Kuiper
gas
belt is not
giant.
an actual object that you can quantify. But Jupiter, we know how big that is. It's a big sucker. And of course,
Yeah.
Jupiter, we've talked about before, is like the goalie. It's the goalie that keeps out all the asteroids from hitting Earth. So if there's a big asteroid heading towards Earth, Jupiter's size and gravity, because it's so much bigger than us, and it's actually pretty close to us compared to most planets, sucks up all the asteroids that are about to hit us. Not all of them, but a lot of them. That might hit us. That might
Yeah,
brush
there's a
us.
huge
Might cause us
gulf
damage.
between Mars and Jupiter, and that huge gulf is basically what Jupiter protects us
Mhm.
from.
Jupiter is the outer edge of our, right before the third biggest thing anyway, and one of my favorite planets is Saturn. Saturn,
Yeah.
of course, very huge planet with a big ring around it and satellites and so forth. What do you think the fourth biggest thing in our solar system is? Of
I
course,
think it
we're
must
only
be a
covering.
moon of Jupiter or something.
Well,
Wait, Jupiter
we're still
have a
on
moon?
planets.
I think I know Saturn has moons.
Yeah, Jupiter has several moons, probably hundreds, and it has a
Yeah.
ring also. But Neptune is
Really? Oh, Neptune's
yeah,
pretty big,
Neptune is the fourth biggest thing in our solar system. It's way out there, and it's a big blue thing.
huh? It's small in comparison to the distance. It's small, but if you get close to it, it's pretty big. Yeah.
And if you ever looked up Uranus, you will find out that it's the fifth biggest. Uranus. I spent all last night looking up Uranus, and I couldn't find a whole lot. Anyway, just terrible pun. But anyway, what do you think is now number 6? The sixth biggest thing in the solar system? Just a wild guess.
Mars.
After Uranus. No, Mars is way smaller than Earth, actually.
Oh, okay.
Earth is
Really?
number
Oh,
6.
I thought we were the
Yeah,
top
we are the
size.
6th biggest thing. Yes, we are. We quite not even close. If we go from the size of Jupiter to Saturn, it really drops quite a bit. From Uranus to Earth, quite a bit. Uranus is way bigger than Earth, but Earth just happens to be the next thing in the list, and we're just barely bigger than Venus. Venus is roughly the same size as Earth. And it's right next to us. So
there was an
the second
argument that
planet
we
from the
could
sun.
instead move to Venus instead of Mars because at least has an atmosphere.
Yeah, but it has a I believe a magnetic field also. However, I think the atmosphere is ammonia. You can hover above it. I think we can actually build space stations that hover above it, like they're resting on a sea kind of thing, like they float, like they're in water. That's one of those things that you can do.
It's actually more viable than whatever anyone's trying to do on Mars, according to most scientists. Yeah.
Although, if there's caves on Mars already or on the moon, we could probably live in those. I'm sure there's caves. There got to be, right?
That's where the Martians are, frozen under the Earth.
Speaking of Mars, the red planet is number 8 on the list. Yes, we're running out of planets. Number 8 is Mars in our solar system, and coming in at 9. The smallest planet in our solar system. No, Pluto's not a planet. The smallest planet in our solar system, Mercury. The closest to the sun and the fastest moving planet in the solar system is the 9th biggest thing in our solar system. Now, we're going to go on things you may not even have heard of before. The biggest, at number 10, the biggest satellite is Ganymede, which is a moon of Jupiter.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Jupiter must have a big moon.
Yeah, it's got they got lots of moons. Jupiter has Ganymede as a moon. Number 11 on our list is Titan, which you've probably heard of. Titan, which is a moon of Neptune. Yep. Very possibly one of those places we could possibly live on.
Saturn is a big planet, but its moons are smaller. That's so interesting.
No, yeah. What's that now?
Well, Saturn is bigger than... Yeah.
Well, Saturn also has many satellites, and number 12 in our solar system is a satellite called Castillo, and that is a moon of Saturn. Number 12 and number 13, I have a lot of information, is another moon of Jupiter called Io.
Oi.
And if you're curious about Io, another moon of Jupiter. What?
It's funnier to say oi, because that's like a...
Oi, okay. Io. Io, it's Io. Oi would be the other way. And if you're wondering where our moon checks in on the list, our moon checks in right behind Io at 14.
Okay.
The United States, our good old Earth moon, the one that the United States landed on first before anybody else, so we get to own it.
Okay.
That's number 14. That's really big, considering that the Earth is the 6th biggest planet.
We're losing.
That's right. I'm just saying, for the size of our planet, our moon is quite huge.
Pretty big, yeah.
There's your 13 biggest things in the solar system. Things like Pluto. Pluto's at 18.
Okay.
Not a planet. Eris, also not a planet, a dwarf planet, as is listed here. Eris is at 17. It's bigger than Pluto. Other dwarf planets here. Haumea is at 19.
Any more moons? Like are all of Jupiter's moons in the top 20 or something?
Oh, you've got it at 15. You've got Europa, satellite of Jupiter. At 16, you've got Triton, not Titan, but Triton, which is a satellite of Neptune. You got Titania at 20, which is a satellite of Uranus.
Oh, wow.
Another satellite of Uranus. Oberon is at 22.
Wow.
This goes down to 31, list of 31 things, and they stop at a certain weight. I think it's
they're like everything else is basically small. That's all you gotta know. They're not biggest anymore. They're small.
There's a lot of dwarf planets too. There's a lot of. You've heard of a few of them. Eris, Rhea. No, it's a satellite of Saturn. That's what Rhea is. What's the other dwarf planet that's very famous? I guess it was Eris. Anyway, there's all of your celestial bodies in their various, listed in order of weight, mass, whatever you want to call it. The biggest objects that we can see in the solar system. Back to you.
Okay, well, for our culture news, we're going to talk about one of the biggest pop stars who is supposedly taking a big break from music. This is from David Morquand on Your News Culture. I don't have any plans for new music at all. Adele has revealed that she has no intention of making new material anytime soon. Plans to take a break after upcoming shows in Germany and Las Vegas. Ahead of Adele's 10-day residency in Munich, Germany, she dropped the bombshell that she wants to take a big break from music. The celebrated British singer sat down with German broadcaster ZDF to talk about her upcoming shows at the proposed built Munich Messe Arena, and during the interview, she revealed to do other creative things just for a little while. When asked if she had plans to make a new album for follow-up of the 2021 record 30, Adele shared that her tank is quite empty after her lengthy run of performances. I don't have any plans for new music at all, she said. I want a big break after all this, and I think I want to do other creative things just for a little while. There's a tweet that says Adele reveals she's taking a break from music after a residency to explore new creative pursuits. Adele had previously warned fans there would be a long wait for her fifth album. She told the audience during Weekends with Adele's Las Vegas performance in January that she didn't think she would write an album for quite some time. During the discussion with ZDF, the singer also revealed that part of the reason why she is seeking a break from writing music is because of her struggle with fame. I miss everything about before I was famous. I think I probably being anonymous the most, she said. I don't like being famous. I love that I get to make music all the time whenever I want and people are receptive to it and I like it. Because that's pretty unimaginable. That never happens to people. She continued, but the fame side of it I absolutely hate. I miss everything about before all this had happened. The fact that people are even interested in my voice and my song is pretty wild. I don't think it ever gets normal, you know? So it's worth it, the balance. Adele has been performing a weekend residency in Las Vegas since November 2022, recently completing her 90th show at the 4,000 capacity Caesars Palace. She plans to put a cap on the run with the final scheduled performance on the 23rd of November. So her 2 years in and she's done. The Munich concerts at 2, 3, 9, and 10 of August will, with additional dates at 14, 16, 23, and 24 of August, will see her appearing in an open-air environment that has been exclusively created for these special shows, according to a press release. The bespoken arena will feature a combination of seated grandstands and a standing area capacity of 80,000 people per night. The venue will also host an Adele experience featuring an English pub and stalls selling specially designed cocktails. This marks the first time Adele has played mainland Europe since 2016. Damn! People here in Europe like her. Why wasn't she here? Where'd she go? I guess she was just in the UK, and if you wanted to see her, you had to go to London. Adele recently shared a series of photos on Instagram showing her wandering around the site. It's all a bit bloody exciting, she wrote in a caption. While there's no word on what the other creative endeavors Adele mentioned may be, or how long or little while is, the singer has frequently taken long breaks between each of her records. There was a 4-year wait between her sophomore album 21 and her third album 25. Good job, guys, we can do math. And as well as a 6-year gap between her later and most recent LP 30. So there it is, your big culture update. Adele is gonna try to pretend she's not famous. Go be a recluse somewhere in the UK most likely. Or come to the Netherlands. The Dutch people treat celebrities like everyone else. That's why it's one of the best countries to visit as a celebrity, because we don't give a shit who you are. You're just as great as everyone else, or just as bad as everyone else. But hopefully she has a great resting time. She has some good time with her child, because she has a son, I believe. And she, whatever. If she wants to make more music, that's her prerogative. It's her life, and it's nice she's going on kind of this last hurrah, making all that money so she can go live comfortably in her wherever she lives. I'm sure. But that's my update.
All right. I got a short video for you. Since it's Hunter S. Thompson's birthday. The last second I sent it to you. And he was nuts. So here's an actual video of him shooting at his neighbors. So hey. Can't do it. Who can't, last name? It's a short video, so you don't have to edit it. 38 seconds. All right, this day in history, as we talk about July 18th. What happened on this day? July 18th in the year, when we were starting counting years, in the year 1195, the Almohads were victorious over the forces of King Alfonso VIII of Castile in the Battle of Alarcos. Right on. Can't pronounce anything today. 1811, English novelist William Makepeace Thackeray, who is best known for his Vanity Fair and the history of Henry Esmond, Esquire, was born in India. Happy birthday to William Makepeace Thackeray. 1817, English novelist Jane Austen died in Winchester, Hampshire, at the age of 41. This day, 1817. Jane Austen only got to be 41. She wrote, of course, Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice.
That's right. Your life doesn't end after 30. You can keep going. You can do stuff.
Yeah, she got only to 41.
Yeah.
She didn't live very long. 1918, French General Ferdinand Foch launched into a counterstrike that forced the Germans into a hasty retreat during the Second Battle of the Marne, the last large German offensive of World War I, which accomplished nothing. 1921, John Glenn, the first U.S. astronaut to orbit Earth, was born. He orbited Earth in 1962, completing 3 orbits. 1927, American baseball player Ty Cobb collected his 4,000th career hit. 1944, Allied forces captured the French town of Saint-Lô, a vital communication center during World War II. We almost went there. Remember that?
No, I don't think I was alive.
Oh, no, we were in Normandy. We almost went there.
Oh yeah, okay. We didn't go there, yeah.
And I was telling you my ex-boss's grandfather was the hero of Saint-Lô, and you're like, that guy's an asshole. And I was like, yeah, but they got a statue of him there. I'm like, it's not his grandfather's fault he was an asshole. Anyway. Major Howie was his name. He was the hero of Saint-Lô.
The hero of France.
Saint-Lô. Just that one village. His company or whatever held off the Germans or ran them out or whatever happened there. 1976, for her performance in the uneven parallel bars at the Olympic Games in Montreal, Nadia Comaneci of Romania became the first gymnast to be awarded a perfect score of 10 in the Olympic gymnastic event. And thanks to that, never before in the history of anything had everybody done a perfect 10 in anything.
Ever.
We never said that phrase was never uttered anywhere in the history of the world until Nadia Comaneci. I swear, nobody ever said she's a perfect 10. Nobody ever said that ever. I swear to you, that's where that originated, right from that performance. Because nobody had ever really paid much attention to gymnastics up until then. Maybe a little bit. 2013, Detroit submitted a claim for Chapter 9 bankruptcy protection, the largest such filing for a U.S. city ever. The city officially emerged from bankruptcy the following year. So cities can do that. Yay, we don't have to pay our debts. 1925, Adolf Hitler published Mein Kampf. That's our featured event for some reason. The first volume of Mein Kampf, the political manifesto written by Adolf Hitler, followed to the T by Donald Trump. That became the Bible for Nazism as Germany's Third Reich was published this day in 1925. 2 years later, the second volume appeared. Oh boy, let's keep track of that. Also on this day, our biographies today. Happy birthday to Nelson Mandela, President of South Africa. Nelson Mandela, born July 18th, 1918. He would be 106 today. He was born in Mvezo, South Africa. He died December 5th, 2013 at the age of 95. So he did get a lot of years, although a lot of them were in prison. So happy birthday to Nelson Mandela. Also birthdays today. Kurt Maser, German conductor, born in 1927. Hunter S. Thompson, the inventor of gonzo journalism, born in 1937. So happy 87th birthday to Hunter S. Thompson. If he was alive, of course, famously shot himself. He was a gun enthusiast. Let's call him a gun enthusiast. So Hunter S. Thompson's birthday today. Richard Branson, another guy who was off his tree. Richard Branson, a guy who used to fly around the world and stuff. His birthday is 1950. Well, I think he still does that crap, right? British entrepreneur who's off his tree. Richard Branson, born in 1950. Also, birthday of Vin Diesel, born in 1967. So he turns a bright 57 years old. Happy birthday to Vin Diesel. And it's MIA, British-born Sri Lankan pop rapper's birthday. MIA, born in 1975. MIA stands for missing in action. So hopefully MIA is not missing in action. It's something else. But there's your birthdays for today. And it's National Caviar Day. If you can afford those sturgeon eggs, have at it. National Sour Candy Day. Sour candy and caviar, quite a mix. Try it sometime. It's National Tropical Fruit Day. That kind of goes with sour candy.
Yeah.
It's sour candy, tropical fruit flavored sour candy. It's National Dole Whip Day. Do you know what a Dole Whip is?
Not really.
I gotta say,
No.
I don't know what a Dole Whip is. And it's Get to Know Your Customers Day. So, hey, customers, my name's Rog. Nice to meet you.
Let us know who you are in the comments below.
That's right. We want to get to know our customers. We want to invite you to our various functions. I'm looking at what Dole Whip is. It's a brand of... They paid to have this on here, I'm sure. We are at mission to encourage everyone to try a true to fruit soft serve because today is National Dole Whip Day. Each year, the third Thursday and Thursday, we share a love for the fruity, delicious flavor it brings to people around the world. The frozen dairy-free treat Dole Whip has been around since 1984. In fact, the Dole Whip consists of a whip, and a glass of pineapple juice topped with maraschino cherry. Okay, doesn't sound that great to me, but somebody enjoys them. Dairy-free dessert of some sort. They got mango, pineapple, strawberry, Dole Whip. Try it, I guess. So those are your days for today and the free advertising for Dole, which is not sending us money, so I don't know how we're advertising them. But hey, Dole, we'll advertise anybody. We need sponsors. So those are your dates for today, which is July 18th, 2024 on Before Caviar. So I'm going to go have me some now.
All right, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands. It reminded me of something that happened in a TV show where they had a lot of caviar, and it was because they had mutated people who were half fish, half people, so they were eating their own eggs.
Oh.
In the Fallout show.
Ooh.
That reminded me of that. But I'm glad I could share that with you on today's Thursday 13, where we covered 13 of the largest things in our solar system, as well as all the news you could ever want to hear today. We will see you tomorrow for the Friday's News Dump, where we really are going to end this week with all the information you'll need for the weekend. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live and post a video. And here is our mic drop moment.
Get out! You chicken shit bastard! Let me shoot something aside! Bird shot, you asshole! The people who did this Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were good people.
Hey, like this!
And it's a good place. Here we are in the middle of it, right up on the mountain. If this son of a bitch wants to bitch about his cows over here and shoot at me, well, it's our country. It's not theirs. It's not a bunch of used car dealers from Southern California. Democracy, you have to be a player.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.